Right now is Texas Congressman Roger Williams. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. You oversee a border state.
Good.
How vital is this slapdown to DACA?
Well, I think we've got to come up with DACA. And of course, a lot of us think that it was done illegally. But the biggest problem down here in Texas is we have to secure the border. The president's trying to do that. I think we need more border patrol and we need more technology. But we also need to let those that are coming up understand that we have a law. We need to adhere to the law. And it's better to come through the ports of entry rather than between, and let us handle your issues.
So what do you think? Can you give us a view of, in fact, what's happening at the border right now? You're in Texas. You actually see it up close and personal. Can you characterize the immigration story for us today, and why there isn't an agreement on both sides of the aisle?
Well, the issue at the border, I was Secretary of State of Texas under Governor Perry and dealt with this issue a lot, so it's not new. The issue is you always have folks coming up, frankly, for a better life, and some coming over here to hurt America and to harm Americans. But the issue down there is the fact that we have folks that are, in many cases, unaccompanied. They're younger. We've seen that we've done a pretty good job in rebuilding the families back that were separated, but you have a lot of folks that they're here illegally, like I say, and you've got to address that. And I think too that we got to remind ourselves too. There's a lot of folks not coming over here to get a job or to quality of life. They're coming over here, as I said earlier, to harm Americans, terrorists, and that's why it's so important to secure this border. I believe we secure it with more boots on the ground. Now, why haven't we done this? I mean, we've debated this in Congress. You've got two sides. You've got the Democratic side that, frankly, I believe wants to promote illegal behavior and keep our borders not secure. On our side, the Republican side, we've had a hard time coming up with a plan. I supported the Goodlatte Amendment, which you're very familiar with. We've talked about that in the past, that I think would have begun to address the issue. So we've got to get back up in September. We've got to get serious about it, and we've got to come up with a solution that keeps our borders secure and keeps our sovereignty.
But it's just a head scratcher as to why the Democrats wouldn't want the same thing. I mean, Nancy Pelosi claims that a vote for a Democrat in November will give leverage to illegal immigrants. That's what she said. She's proving once again where her priorities lie with illegals. Listen to this, sir. Listen to this. Got to get your reaction.
We are not going to be able to get it done under the Republican leadership in Congress. We believe that we will have leverage when we win in November, because it gives hope because of the leverage it gives to families who may have father, dad may have gone home for a family funeral and now can't come back into the country.
What is this about, Congressman? I mean, is this about votes that she's trying to get? Why wouldn't she want to keep the border secure?
I think it's totally about votes. I think that they would rather have this president, this administration fail than America succeed. I think it's totally about votes. I've lived down here all my life. I know what's going on, like most Texans. And the fact of the matter is that I would like for Nancy Pelosi to go with me to where we address homeless veterans. We have so many homeless veterans that need assistance, much more before those that frankly come to break our law. So I think it's all politically driven. I think they can get more votes. And we need to address what we're supposed to address as public officials and secure our borders and address the law of the land, which they're not doing. It's all driven by political grandstanding.
It's a lot of grandstanding, and this whole resist movement continues. Do you think this is going to impact midterm elections come November?
Well, I think it will. I think I know people in Texas, where I travel around, and certainly my district, they want secure borders, for crying out loud. We all, regardless of your party preference, you swore to uphold the letter of the law, the Constitution, and that's what we've got to do. I mean, it's there. Whether you agree with it or not, the law is the law. So I think it's going to be an issue that's, frankly, will be a winning issue for Republicans, and we've got to talk about it and not be fearful of it.
So then why are we still talking about a blue wave? What are your expectations for the midterm elections?
Well, I don't think there's going to be a blue wave. I don't know really what a blue wave is unless it means all Republicans lose. But I think that, frankly, I think we'll keep seats in the House. I think it might be minimal, but at the same time, I think we could gain seats in the Senate. But the issues are this. The issues are Americans are better off than they've been in many, many years. Americans, regardless of a Republican or a Democrat, they have more money in the pocket. They're spending more money. They're realizing a lot of great things this country has to offer with the tax cuts we passed, reducing the regulations. Banks now can breathe. Banks can do business and compete for customers. We got a lot of great things happening in this country, and I think people recognize that.
People recognize that, but the left is not recognizing it, and even the mainstream media is driving the bus on the not recognizing it. They're talking about Michael Cohen and Russia and all these other things that are really not important to the American people.
Well, it's to divert. I mean, we've got a lot of people that don't think, frankly, like I do. But it's interesting because when you talk about tax cuts alone, Democrats are spending the tax cuts. Democrats have more money in their pocket. And so I think at the end of the day, people will realize that famous thing, you're better off today than you were yesterday. I think they will come along that way. But I will say this to my colleagues in the Republican Party: we've got to do a better job of promoting the things we've done. We've got to be more retail. We've got to be more offensive. We can't be defensive. We've got a lot to talk about. This country has done a lot of things under President Trump. I represent Fort Hood. The military is beginning to get much more, is becoming more stronger. We're training more. We got great kids, just got back from Iraq. So there's a lot going for us on this side as we move into November.
I mean, I'm surprised you're not hearing more conversation about 4.1% economic growth. You know, you've got some successes that you're not really hearing discussed.
Well, that's right, and I go back. I've been in business 47 years, still own a business. The economy is good, and we look at more jobs than people. You look at 4% GDP. You look at unemployment down around maybe possibly less than 4%. There's opportunity everywhere, and those people always talked about minimum wage. People are on minimum wage under Barack Obama. They're making more money now because we're competing for a workforce, and it's driving wages up.
Yeah.
So it is a good. We can talk about a lot of things, but the press is the press, and they drive a separate issue.
Well, the wage is up 2.8% year over year. That's obviously very positive. But Congressman, I got to get your reaction to these insider trading charges against New York Representative Chris Collins, your colleague. He's defending himself. He did so yesterday. Here's what he said.
The charges that have been levied against me are meritless, and I will mount a vigorous defense in court to clear my name. I look forward to being fully vindicated and exonerated, ending any and all questions relating to my affiliation with Innate.
Your reaction as Collins is not going to be serving on the House Energy and other committees per Paul Ryan until this is resolved, sir?
Well, I mean, I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry that this has happened. I do know Chris. He came in with me in 2012 into Congress, and he's got a road ahead of him. He's a fighter. He's a battler. I don't know the facts. I just learned them yesterday on the news. So I pray for he and his family and hope everything gets resolved.
Let me ask you about the looming trade dispute with China. They are answering back to President Trump's tariff threat with new ones of their own on $60 billion worth of U.S. goods. Where do you think this is headed in terms of the spat with China? Well,
I mean, I think you've got two heavyweights battling each other right now. I am, as you know, a small business owner. I'm not that excited about tariffs. I think there's different ways to go. I think no tariffs would be great. President Trump is talking about that, but tariffs we've had the biggest tax cut we've had in many, many years. Tariffs do rise the price of cost of goods sold. So I hope that at the end of the day, I understand the China issue is major. We need to fix that, but I hope that we focus on opportunity and the fact that of letting the cost of goods sold go through competition, let people decide who they want to do business with. And I just don't think tariffs are the way to do that. I talked to the White House the other day about if we can't do tariffs, you know, can we do quotas? I mean, we got a history of quotas, which frankly does not raise the cost of goods sold. So there's still a lot of opportunity out there, and the White House is willing to talk to people like me and others about other ideas, and I'm grateful for that.
And do you have any sense of when we might see the next deal logged in terms of a trade deal? Perhaps Mexico is on the horizon. We keep hearing that perhaps that's close. Any thoughts on the next deal that we might see? Because markets are giving this president, I guess, some breathing room in terms of his negotiation on these tariffs. But at some point, they're going to want to see a real deal.
Well, you're right, and then, you know, in business, you have to you get ready for the sale. In time, you have to close the sale.
Right.
And I think that Mexico could be the very next one. Mexico is our partner, is our neighbor. There's a lot of things we can coordinate with Mexico. So I'd like to see a deal there. But I'm with you. I think the deal's around the corner. I haven't been told that. But when you negotiate for a reason, and you negotiate for an end, and the president does it better than anybody.
All right, we will leave it there. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay,
We'll see you
ya.
soon. Congressman Roger Williams joining us.